Welcome to a very short episode in the workshop involving only the workshop. So if you want any shooting, go and look at another episode. Nothing's going to happen here. So I have a problem with my lovely reproduction Baker rifle here. It's going on 20 years now, and the Frizzen is finally showing signs of aging. If you can see there in the light, it's somewhat battered. There's gouges and grooves and all that, which is a sure indication that the hardened surface has worn away with use. And basically I'm not getting any reliable sparks. I get a little bit. You can see if I charge it now whether it'll behave. It probably will because I'm on camera. But on the range, it's very frustrating. Despite me being a very patient person, I end up fuming because it misfires so many times. So let's now see what happens. Yeah, of course it worked. Now, 9 times out of 10, it doesn't. So I want to ensure that I get a nice, big, healthy firework effect whenever I fire, so that I get sparks for a relatively long time, giving more chance for the primer to ignite. So, what's happening here, of course, is that the flint is shaving minute flecks of steel, iron, off the face here, which are incandescent, and they fall into the powder and ignite it. So I have, for doing the hardening, a compound called True Spark from Track of the Wolf, carbon nitriding surface hardening compound for hardening steel lock parts. So exactly what we want. It's a black powdery substance. It comes with a very comprehensive 2 sides of instructions. So we shall go through that, and hopefully at the other side I shall be able to get a nice shower of sparks with every strike of the flint. Now there is, because I'm going to be heating this, heating the Frizzen to cherry red, applying the compound, and then I'm going to have to quench it. There is the possibility that there'll be a crack, particularly at the rear of the Frizzen. You see the hole for the screw here, the hinge point. There is a slight possibility that it will crack there, and if that happens, I shall have to be crying off to Peter Dyson in the UK so that he can give me a new Frizzen. But I thought it was worth a try to do it myself. So stage 1 is to take out this screw and the Frizzen, and then I'm going to have to polish the Frizzen face, so remove all the gouges and grooves and get it mirror bright. So let's do that. So the Frizzen is now carefully clamped in the vise, and now I'll probably grind away the worst of it and then finish off with wet and dry progressively until we get a nice mirror smooth finish. So finished with the bubber tool. Now it's down to some delicate handiwork. I've got different grades here of wet and dry, and just basically gradually work my way through them until I can see my face, my horrible face, in the face of the Frizzen. Now it's very important when I'm doing this that I keep my strokes longitudinally, so along the axis of the Frizzen where the flint is going to travel. This is so that I don't introduce any micro grooves perpendicular to that, because during the quenching that may produce little cracks, and we really don't want that to happen perpendicular to basically wherever the flint is going to hit. That could basically, if you do it wrong, just cause it to snap clean through. Okay, that's probably as good as I'm going to get it. Now to the heating stage. So phase 2 is to clamp the tail of the Frizzen. Now this will enable me to hold it, and this also acts as a heat sink so that the tail end here doesn't get too hot. What we're going to do is heat the back, so the front face here, until it's cherry red here and indoors. And then we're going to plunge the front face into the powder, which hopefully shall form a nice caked layer on top. So there we go, we've got a reasonable crust on it. It doesn't go all the way down, which is a shame. If this isn't sufficient, I can always redo the process again and ensure that it goes all the way down. But the most important thing is from a third from the top, you get a nice hard layer. So, next stage is to heat this again from the bottom. Cherry red again until this crust starts to melt and bubbles away. Keep it for, it says, at least 120 seconds. The longer you keep it, the more the carbon will penetrate into the steel, and then quench it in warm water. So, well, hot water, as hot as you can get it from the tap, not boiling water. So this is about 50-60 degrees. Okay, so the final step is going to be to clean the front face, obviously, and then temper the tail end here to avoid any cracking when the flint hits it the first time. What we're going to do is clean off the pan cover here so that it's bright, and then the small propane torch just temper back to blue this area here. So there we go. Now I've just got to let it air cool, and then we'll stick it back in the lock, and hopefully we shall have fireworks. Okay, so that was frankly a bit disappointing. I think I'm going to repeat the process maybe a couple of times, so really dose up the front here. And because the flint is still gouging here at the front, so obviously not quite hard enough. So it's been about 2 weeks since my first dismal attempt. In the meantime, I've had a good chat with Rob from British Muzzleloaders, who went through the process himself for the Frizzen on his baker. We're not convinced that the one-time scoop through the powder and then a quick roast for 5 minutes is really up to the job. So I'm going to adopt the technique that he shows in his very good vid on that, keeping how to keep a flintlock running. So I'll show you in a sec my variation on the little bench forge, and we'll see how it works from there. So here's the setup. I've got these fire bricks set up to make a little heat channel here, and the Frizzen then is suspended on this piano wire, and MAP gas is here underneath. Unfortunately, we don't have these nice articulated nozzles that I see everyone has in the US. So what I'm going to do, heat it up cherry red as prescribed, and then spoon on the compound and let it bubble away. If it starts to get low, I'll just carry on feeding it as necessary and keep that going for half an hour, and then quickly nip it off and quench it in a bucket. So hopefully the result will be much better than the first time. Okay, the moment of truth. So there we are, I think we did it. You could see there was a good strong ignition, snappy, quick, and a good shower of sparks if I managed to isolate that frame there. So as to the method, this was clearly far superior. In the little forge corner there, the Frizzen got very, very hot, far redder than I managed to get it the other way, and it was kept at that temperature constantly. And the compound was just absorbed constantly. So I was spooning on this stuff every minute or so because it was just melting and diffusing into the metal, obviously, to give this nice hard layer. So, and the pan didn't open completely there in the test because this flint, this edge here is not particularly straight. So it's not hitting fully and giving the full whack to tilt it. Nonetheless, it still gave a sufficient big shower of sparks, so that can just be adjusted. So I hope that was interesting. You saw, the first attempt didn't quite work, and thank you very, very much to Rob for all his advice for managing to get me through it and succeed. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.